Bob and Kel CleverCast for the week of June 1, 2023. It occurs. Oh, and by the way, it's brought to, see, I almost forgot. That's ironic. Brought to you by Prevagen, which apparently Kel needs to remember where his car keys are. I go into CVS to buy Prevagen and I keep forgetting to buy it. That shows you how good Prevagen is. So, this also ties into the fact that I forgot the last time we convened that Bob Dylan had just turned 82. And then we find out today that 83-year-old Al Pacino is going to be a father again with a 29-year-old girlfriend. This comes the week after the bulletin about Robert De Niro, about to be a father again in his late 70s. So my theory is that, and this item is seen around American households during Thanksgiving. It's called a baster, a turkey baster. And I have a feeling that we have a couple of donors and a couple of turkey basters at work. That's what's happening, because I cannot imagine getting into bed with an 83-year-old man or woman. That would mean, Tina Turner. I'm sorry. I know that one of my big regrets in my younger days of socially circulating, that I didn't open myself up to slightly older people, but not people in their 80s. That's a bridge too far.
But Bob, would you be open to the idea of, say, sleeping with a 27-year-old yourself?
I would have to ask, what's in it for you? Because, I have very little, if anything, to offer at this point. So I would have to have them sign something like an NDA or something. I don't know.
If there's a 20 questions for Bob question, that would be one of mine. Is like, what is the widest parameter between ages of a person that you've slept with?
I think the highest I would go is 80. Nancy Pelosi. I would tap that. I would try to.
Okay.
I think she's still pretty well held together.
All right.
Jimmy Buffett, if you'll recall, a week or two ago, made an announcement that he had to cancel a concert or a tour, going to the hospital, and his quote was, "Old age ain't for sissies." And I'm here to tell you that that is about the truest statement that I have heard recently. And if you can't remember your car keys now, I have horrible news for you. It's not going to get any better.
I know.
It's just not. No aspect is going to get any better.
I know.
I was in line today. I don't know how much pharmacy hopping you guys do, but I was in line today 10 minutes early for the availability of a certain drug, a lousy $6 statin, 90-day supply. And it says it'll be ready at 10 o'clock this morning. So I'm in line at 10 to 10. And while I'm in line, the time and day change.
Oh,
it's like dealing with Delta Airlines. Suddenly the day and time had changed to tomorrow at 5:30. So I go up to the lady today at CVS Pharmacy and I say, "They've just changed the time on me. Can you help me?" And she says, "Oh, yes, I will expedite. You come back in 15 minutes. So while I'm gone to Santa Monica to fetch another drug and drop off a written prescription for a pharmacy that I've never dealt with before, I get another message from CVS, same pharmacy.
Yes.
Your medicine is on order and we will call you or we will text you when it's ready. I'm telling you, I said this weeks ago, white hair is the new black skin.
Oh,
you were a second-class citizen and you're not going to be ranked any higher for the rest of your life by the medicine industrial complex. I just want you to know what is lying in wait for you out there.
It's all downhill from here. Thank you, Bob.
It really is.
I've never seen you more overjoyed. Kel's coming with us. Let's go.
I even received an email reminder today from Disney Concert Hall downtown LA, where we're spending the next weekend, telling me arrive at the concert 1 hour ahead of showtime, so you will have time to find your seats.
Mm.
At first, I'm feeling kind of insulted. I'm thinking, well, where are these seats that I would need an hour to find them? I could have sworn that I ordered these seats from a graph, of the seating chart, right?
Sure.
Are they in a closet? Are they across the street? Am I Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman? Am I blind? Why would it take an hour?
Right.
And so this we'll find out the answer to that question on Friday because it's an 11 o'clock in the morning show, and you'd think I would be awake by then.
Yeah, I would think. Oh, a morning show. Wow.
Yeah, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
You gotta see. Here's another thing about this age: get stuff done in the day
Yeah.
because the night is fraught with peril. I mean, I can still drive at night, but it's a little like living in Phoenix
Uh,
uh, year round. Get all the stuff you need to do done first thing in the morning or sometime during the day before it starts getting really hot, or in this case, really dark.
oh, I see.
If you need
Like,
any other cautionary tales along the way, let me know and I will do my best to help.
all right.
But I just feel as if the members of both of your generations, or if you're of the same generation, let's say people going back to age 40.
Yes.
Kel, you just turned 50.
Yes.
It's none of my business how old Kurt is. I just want both of you to know that it's not going to get any better. That's just the plain fact of the matter.
Well, you just sound like a naysayer today.
Well, that's just what I've been experiencing.
No,
It's
you're
just
right. You're totally right. I know you're right. And I don't want to admit you're right, but you're right.
here. Tell me if this is a sign of senility. And by the way, I'm so sad for Rosalind Carter. I assume you saw the headline that she has dementia.
Right.
I can't imagine what it's like around that house. Jimmy Carter doesn't even know he's alive, and she's, nattering on like one of the Beale sisters. I can't imagine that's a very pleasant way to spend one's twilight weeks and months. But um, there have been some turnover in the various sports leagues at the higher echelons of the admin and the coaches and managers and stuff.
Mhm.
I'll bet you I can't recognize the names of 95% of the coaches and managers of major league level sports teams in any sport. Where do these people come from? I don't remember any of them as players. Are they career, office politicians?
Oh, yeah.
Like
You're
your
right.
own Twins manager, Rocco Baldelli. I don't remember him as a player.
What about the Wolves coach, Chris Finch? Never heard of that guy before.
Where are they coming from?
I mean, the only reason I kind of know who that Joe Mazzolo is from Boston Celtics is the fact that he replaced the guy who had some sort of interoffice affair.
And that guy, the horny office guy, I'd never heard of him before.
True.
I've never heard of any of the first and third base coaches. I've never heard of any of the offensive or defensive coordinators. One at UCLA a couple of days ago died. That's the first time I'd ever heard of him. Was when he died. So I don't know whether this is a sign of senility or not. Usually, I would think if you can't pronounce senility, you're dealing with borderline senility.
That's true.
Um, Culture wars at the ballpark. Have you suffered any there at XL or Target or any of your ballparks? Because we have a thing going on here at Dodger Stadium. There are athletes who feel that gay people should not be proud. There should not be a pride. They should feel shame. And I'm not going to wear the rainbow, insignia on my uniform. We've seen this happen in soccer. We've seen it happen in the NHL. Is anything like that raging in the Twin Cities?
Well, I know that the Wild did abandon their pride practice jerseys, or they made it optional or something silly like that. So it's making the rounds. And I guess why should we be surprised? The country seems to be split in half. Why not our favorite teams?
And it's such a no-brainer.
Well,
I mean, homosexuality has existed for thousands of years in all kinds of species. And if you don't want to see a shirt in a retail setting that has a rainbow on it, just walk on by.
walk
You
on
know,
by. That's a
Dionne
music.
Warwick,
Yeah.
Walk on By
Well,
is
you
written by
already
Burt
said
Bacharach.
by the time I get to Phoenix, what are we doing? A Dionne Warwick
Every
Great.
time I see a rainbow in a shirt, and I start to cry. Yeah, walk on by.
Well,
But no, they're making a big fuss. The Moms for Liberty and the other QAnon style groups are invading the retail spaces and messing with the inventory. And we're so effective with Target at intimidating that chain that they've now moved on to Kohl's.
oh,
Yep.
hmm.
So I don't know. We need to find a Munich and stop them there. But I've never understood retail. My
Mhm.
father was in it for 50 years. That's how he built his mini empire. And I never understood the principle behind retail. I get it that I could sell you something. I take the money, I put it in the bank. But to reinvest that money in another copy of what I just sold you and put it back on the shelf, to me, that cuts into my profit margin. And this goes on over and over and over, depending on what item and how many items you have in your store. So retail has never made much sense to me, but trespassing does compute with me. And if you walk into a store and you mess with their inventory and you raise hell with the clerks
Mhm.
and with the managers and whatnot because you see things that rub you the wrong way, I'm sorry, welcome to life. And if you want to push things to the degree that that side of things does, we're going to have to call you an ambulance, or we're going to have to call a squad car to take you to jail because you're trespassing.
Agreed.
That's all I can come up with.
I worked in retail for 5 years in my high school and college years. Shopko in St. Cloud. Say hello to a goodbye at Shopko. Um,
Now, see, you remember that tagline, but you can't remember where your car keys are.
who
Isn't that
knows?
strange?
Yes. I only remember, we were all college kids, so we were just chasing after each other and trying to get dates and touchy feely and stuff like that. But the thing I remember the most, some guy wandered in to the housewares aisle and decided to relieve himself right there in the aisle in St. Cloud, Minnesota, of all places.
Well, perhaps he had just come from a kegger at his bar mitzvah, because I'm guessing that's around 12, 13 years of age when youngsters start drinking in the St. Cloud, and he just
Perhaps.
couldn't make it to the restroom in time.
Perhaps if they let 60-year-old men into raging parties. He
Yeah.
was an older gentleman.
I was hired at about $2 an hour to help my father sell stuff while he was in back doing the printing. He had a printing uh, shop in the back, and then up front was the retail, the office supplies. And my, aptitude, I could only handle, like staplers and paper clips and stuff like that. Well, what if America's right wing decides that a stapler has some sort of special,
Oh yeah.
subversive meaning, and they
Right.
decide to come into an office supply store and steal all your staplers? Well, I'm sorry, that just can't be allowed to go on, you know? It's
You're
like
correct.
objecting to shirts with rainbows on them. Just walk on by, uh, you got to tolerate stuff. I'm so disappointed in Clayton Kershaw,
Yeah, I was gonna
one of
bring
my
that up.
favorite
Yeah.
all-time All-American athletes, charity-minded role models, and now he's come out to say we need a day at the stadium devoted to Jesus and family and whatnot. I
I'll
have no
just
problem with that. But what about a ball game with no culture wars? What about a ball game with no agendas? Just baseball and leave the other stuff, back behind the San Gabriel Mountains.
there's no
I
time
don't
for
get
it
it.
anyway. There's shorter games. There's not enough time for all these culture wars.
Yeah. Well,
Oh wait, are you adjusting to the shorter games?
I I've canceled them now. I've had to cancel the Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw because of what's
Oh,
going on.
that's
So
terrible.
now I just watched the Angels. I watched the greatest all-around player in the history of the world hit 2 home runs today. The only player in the major leagues with 6 wins and 15 home runs. And Trout hit one as well, and they won a laugher at Chicago 11-2. So I watched the Angels now, and I will probably watch some of the NBA finals, the Nuggets and Miami, because I want to be watching when someone finally has enough of Jimmy Thugler and knocks him down with a stiff right cross to the jaw.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Denver too. I'm hoping for a sweep. Why not?
What I don't understand is this enormous man, how he can shoot from those distances and how he can drive and people get out of his way.
Yeah,
This Jokic thing is just a mystery to me. I
he's
don't
a
understand it. The game has been played by people as athletic as, let's say, Dominique Wilkins or Dr. J. And here's this plumber looking guy,
he's a
you know,
brute.
where is he from originally? Eastern Europe somewhere?
Serbia, something like that.
Yeah. And he just pulls his way on through and scores the baskets and the team wins. And, well, ask the Lakers how good he is.
Yeah.
So,
And the Timberwolves, they lost to him too.
culture wars at the ballpark and in the retail settings. This has got to stop.
Well, what happens if we find out Shohei is not really from Japan? He's from China. Then what
I
happens?
just I just found out in the last few minutes that the real Hillary Clinton is in jail. The one that's out of jail is some sort of uncanny imposter. I'm ready to accept anything now. Al Pacino fathering a child at 83. Hillary Clinton, the real one, is in jail. And rainbow shirts have this subversive agenda. I'm at this point, I'll believe anything you put in front of me.
I gotcha.
I got a new homeless anecdote for you.
All right.
Happened this past Sunday in the shadow of the south end of the UCLA campus. We had just come from church, and there's a special taco place we enjoy called Pinch's Tacos. And all we had in mind was taking our food out onto the patio, sitting at a table, put there especially for customers. But I noticed there's a lonely soul at the end of the row there, finishing his dark beer and behaving in a really aristocratic way and speaking with an exotic accent, and occasionally strolling up and down the sidewalk there in a very aristocratic way, and stopping at each table to lecture people, but not necessarily in a negative way. But I'm just trying to enjoy my meal. Have you ever been in a situation where you can't enjoy your meal because someone who doesn't have a home thinks it's a good idea to fuck with you? I don't get it.
Yeah, that is tough. You would think that the wait staff would have done something about that, but yeah, are they afraid to shoo him out?
There's where we get to the current understaffing post-COVID. I think there were maybe 2 people in that place, and they were inside making the food. There's nobody, patrolling the outside. I don't understand the lack of focus on security, commercially or residentially. I recall a few years ago when Yasiel Puig of the Dodgers was playing a game, and while he was playing, some guys with guns decided to stop by his house and rob him. And I'm thinking, well, Yasiel Puig has the money to afford guys with crisscrossing ammo belts patrolling his yard like guerrilla warriors. Why doesn't he spend $100 a night to keep his possessions intact? I don't understand why businesses and residences owned by wealthy people, why the accent is so off of security. I don't get it.
You're right. I think the same thing with like drunken athletes who drink and drive, or celebrities for that matter. Shouldn't they have drivers? Shouldn't they have somebody take them from place to place? I don't get it.
Right. Oh, while we're briefly on the subject of gunplay, I had a dream the other night that Ja Morant shot Jimmy Butler, and
wow.
And no one cared.
Is that a dream or a nightmare? That's a dream, right?
When I wake up to the fact, literally to the fact that I just dreamed that, I'm thinking maybe I should look in the paper. Maybe it actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
But can't you see Ja Morant finally going over the edge and shooting someone? In this case, it was someone who probably has shot some people himself, Jimmy Butler.
Well, like you said, that Kel, you're 50 now. It's all downhill from here. Do you think there's any upward mobility for Ja anymore? Or do you think he's swirling the drain?
I think he's made his decision. Apparently, someone put in front of him a decision. Do you want to be a gangster rapper or do you want to be an NBA star? And he's
Mm-hmm.
made his decision, and that's,
Yeah.
that's none of my business really. I just hope
True.
he doesn't hurt anyone or himself
Yeah, that's true.
or a member of his family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being pestered by this guy. My partner says I need to go down a couple of storefronts and pick up something rather than I'm thinking, I didn't say anything at the time, but I'm thinking, oh, good, I'm going to be left alone to deal with this guy. And there were populated tables, a couple of other tables with people sitting at them around me, but he does finally get to me. And I don't know how this registers with the Minnesota nice culture. Do you consider yourself adept at ignoring people?
Yeah, I think there's some sort of passivity of Minnesota in your blood that allows you to like look past people, I think. Wouldn't you agree, Kurt?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm pretty good at ignoring people.
Or pretending that you don't hear them? Because there was a point where I thought, okay, I can gather up my food and I can finish it in my car. If I took it back inside the store where I ordered, he would probably follow me. You're having to come up with all these
Mhm.
self-defense scenarios when all you really want to do is sit there and enjoy a meal in the company of other sane people. But no, there's always this one deranged guy with his own special spin on being deranged, and I mean, as far as apparel goes, and the accent, and what he's drinking, and the size of his and the fabric of his bag. See, they always have a bag,
Mm.
and I just don't know where to go anymore. That a person can count on a good old fashioned patio lunch on a Sunday after church. See, that's another thing that galls me
That's
is
key.
that I had just gotten out of church.
Mm. The
I'm
Lord's
filled
Day.
with the Spirit. I don't want to slug anybody.
Ah,
But what do you do when someone who has God knows how many diseases is breathing on my food? What do you do?
I guess I can only think of one thing. You stay home.
As, as a law-abiding citizen,
Oh,
what do you do?
it is tough though. I'm not kidding. It's tough to like get up and get out there because like there are just so many weirdos, whether they're homeless, whether they're just speaking their mind. It is easier to just stay in your basement and watch Netflix.
How noticeable are your homeless in that area, in
Well, I mean,
suburban St. Paul and
oh,
where Kurt lives in the
there's a
country?
number of I took a drive through Minneapolis recently, and there's a lot of tent homes, a lot of tents under the bridges, that type of thing. It's a really
Hmm.
sad state of affairs. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
tons worse in California, but it's odd to see here happening. But and then you'll see them all over. Every ramp has one these days.
yeah. 65,000 homeless, at least before Karen Bass took office. 65,000 homeless. That's a pretty good sized American city within a
Hmm.
city. And there's just no place to go to escape them unless it's indoors and the price keeps out the riffraff. That's the only way really to avoid it completely.
I mean, like I think about Oakland out there. It's like every sports team's trying to get out of there. It seems like what's left in Oakland except for what is it more or less a shanty town? I mean, what's going on out there?
I've not been to Oakland or Berkeley in I don't know 6 months or so, so I
Mm,
don't know
okay.
what to tell you. Are they collecting at your libraries the way they are here? They really
Hmm.
love the library. I had no idea that the homeless would lead the culture in literacy because that's where they go apparently to watch the porn on the computers.
Yes.
They're deranged, but they still know how to use a computer and they know how to find my man Brad Newman, I guess, whenever the mood strikes.
Brad is loved by all.
And and these library computers are right there in front of God and everybody, and children walk past, and
Right.
just
They just
it's just the damnedest thing.
see they have the skill that you'd like to have where you can ignore everything around you. They can do that. They can sit at a computer, ignore everything, and focus on that one pornographic image.
I didn't
it's a
tell you,
skill.
not yet, I don't think, but last year, I think it was for my birthday, we went to Palm Springs. And I, at some point in the day, I was near a Rite Aid. It's a combination pharmacy drugstore. And I went in to ask where to use the restroom. And the lady lied to me and said they didn't have one because she thought I
Wow.
was homeless. I was
Oh,
in a faded blue jean jacket. And of course, the scruff of beard and whatnot. She thought I was homeless. She didn't want me hanging around the store.
oh, wait, I had the same experience with you once before when we met in downtown St. Paul that one time, and I ran into that gentleman I thought was you, but he was a
Yeah,
homeless man. Couldn't tell the
right,
difference.
right. That's called a separated at birth.
Oh, sorry, wrong show.
Double ganger.
Mhm.
Right. This past weekend, series finales. Did you partake of any of them, and what did you think? I mean, they all ended on the same weekend.
I know,
Mrs.
right?
Maisel, Barry, and Succession all ended on the same weekend. Let's see, all of them went 4 seasons, 4 years, and ended on the same weekend. Did you partake? And if so, what did you think?
Um, yes, I watched Succession, loved it. Very open-ended, but it was a nice way to end that series of hateful people. B, Barry, I have not finished it. I'm about halfway through the final season, so that's where I am.
I
And
think
then,
of the three series, Barry had the most open and shut case, final type ending.
okay,
And I think I agree with your description of Succession's ending, but they should have just gone to a blackout when Tom and Shiv were being driven toward us in the town car with her hand on his.
yeah.
I also wonder if Sex in the City, also on HBO back in the day, was good for at least two bad movies. Why couldn't they do a Succession movie? This series finale was 90 minutes. That's a damn movie, man.
Right. It sounds like none of the main characters want to do this, I think, but I know they could probably make something out of Cousin Greg. I don't know.
That would be an excellent spinoff. Maybe just the title Greg with an exclamation point.
And what were Greg and Tom known as? They were known as some sort of
The
the brothers.
Disgusting Brother.
The Disgusting Brothers. That sounds like a kind of
Yeah,
a mini series.
yeah. And Greg could have his Greglets, and they would have Tomlets in the morning for breakfast,
Oh
and
yeah. Oh, it
they
writes
still
itself.
continue all the jargon.
Um,
But I'm going to miss them. I've taken to finding substitutes or replacements for these series that have ended. I'll recommend to you a Netflix series. I was never, I don't know, I was aware of Carrie Russell, but I never really followed her work. I obviously didn't see Felicity, but I didn't see The Americans as well, though I heard great things about that
I love The
series.
Americans.
She has a Netflix series that we are 2 episodes away from ending
Yep.
called The Diplomat.
I watched it. Yes.
Yeah, what do you think?
Loved it. It was great. Great
Yeah,
inside stuff. They
yeah, and
talked.
great chemistry between her and the old man,
Yep.
and the very proper Brit ambassadors and prime ministers and whatnot.
Right. And they made some article was talking about how comparing like how there are real things that really happen to diplomats and the things that are, grossly exaggerated. But they said the packing of one's bags for them, as off-putting as that is, it happens all the time. I don't know. Would you
Yeah,
have a problem with somebody packing your bag, Bob?
yes, I would, as a matter of fact, because I'm afraid they'd make off with one of my edibles. I completely miscalculated my edible on Sunday before the Succession finale. So
Oh,
when that scene came along where the three siblings are acting like children and their mother is in the room and they make this goulash fit for a king
yeah.
thing, it just seemed so outsized to me. It was like I was adding a hallucination to what I was already hallucinating thanks to the miscalculated edible. So the lesson here is don't, time your edible and time how much of the edible you want before something you're really looking forward to, so you don't screw it up.
Have you done like an edible in the at a concert or anything like that to kind of enhance that, or has it always
I have
been
not,
just
no, because I'm usually the one who has to drive home, and I don't want that. I did tell you, did I not, that I went to a Cheech and Chong show at the Greek Theater, and people were smoking pot all around me. And on the way home in the car, I would just laugh completely out of context for no reason at all. Then I realized, holy crap, I'm dealing with a contact high here. I could be pulled over, thrown into jail, having not done anything wrong, except go to, I think it was the groups were War and Tower of Power, and the MCs were Cheech and Chong, and people were just blowing it all over
oh
me, and
wow.
got in the car, and I was zonked. I was out of it. Every red light was really funny for some reason. I still to this day can't understand why.
Oh,
That is a
hilarious.
strange drug, man. That's a fascinating, for lack of a better term, addiction
uh,
or habit. I've never understood what the difference is between an addiction and something you just enjoy doing every day,
right.
such as Eel River IPA from Scotia, California, 7.2 ABV. So,
Very
yeah,
cool.
I
Are
feel
you
like I always have to use add the sound effect. Oh, what's
oh
Kurt holding up there?
8%?
8%. What's the name of it? Is it Surly, something by Surly?
Kurt, you're muted, Kurt.
Angry Orchard hardcore dark cherry apple.
8%, 8 ABV of 8.
Yeah, but I feel like you put a hardcore on anything, it raises it a little bit more. I mean, yeah, I mean,
You
what
know,
they have Mountain Dew liquor now. I mean, come on.
yeah. I remember a place on Selby Avenue that when the ABV got to a certain point, they would only serve you like 8 ounces of it in a glass.
Oh,
That's when you know that Lutherans rule the state you're living in. When you're not even allowed as a grown-up to consume whatever quantity of whatever beverage you want to consume.
you're right.
That's pathetic. But now, am I wrong, or did I not read that your Governor Walz has signed a bill legalizing marijuana in your state?
Yeah, well, I think it's got to pass through one more set of things, or is it happening? I know I've been hearing that it is happening. It just when it's
I
going
thought
to
it was
happen.
legalized. I think what they're trying to do is prove my theory wrong, that it's not going to get any better. This is the part that's going to get better with age, is that you have this whole new world of altered consciousnesses ahead of you.
Mm,
That's something to rejoice in, I think, if if accomplished in the privacy of your own home, if you're not driving or operating heavy machinery.
but still no sports gambling, so it's not a total utopia yet.
Well, I think you would have that, but there's a contingent there in Minnesota,
The Bible Belt.
uh, the, the tribes that just
Oh,
won't allow it. The tribes won't allow any competition.
hmm.
From what I read, they feel that that would be further competition with them, and they feel the compact doesn't allow for that. So I don't think you'll ever have it there unless someone decides to give the tribes their fair share.
Gotcha.
Now, on the other hand, I'm also hearing that just below the Iowa border, is it Dubuque or someplace near Dubuque in northern Iowa, there is a FanDuel or a DraftKings center in a hotel, roughly 90 minutes from
Oh
your
yeah,
front door, and you can spend a weekend there and do some sports betting, like happens in civilization.
yeah. Some of the radio shows that I listen to once in a while, they talk about getting their fix by driving that 90 miles down there. So yeah, I could see us doing that next time you come around.
Do you really? Would you like to do that? Because I
Yeah, I
would
think
like to
so.
do that.
Yeah, let's give it a try. Let's give it a spin.
We
We
could both get away from the old balls and chains and kick up our heels.
yeah, there's
I've
also
even looked
another
at Kel. I've even looked at their menu.
you
I've even
have.
looked at this place's I've even looked at their menu.
Their
The
food
short
menu or their
order.
gambling menu?
They've got a mean jalapeno popper at this particular establishment.
Oh, let's
So that'll
do
be
this
fun.
then.
And it's less time to get there than it would be if you drove east Turtle Lake, where they have a sports book
Right,
in
that's true.
Wisconsin.
But yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, Turtle Lake is probably the closest to where we are, but it's also Matamidi Stillwater. That might be closer, but we'll check it out. Let's do it.
I have a former colleague who says he knows some guys who have an arrangement with a mule. He is their mule. For a fee, he carries their money down to this place in Iowa.
Okay.
And he distributes it among the tellers there on certain games, and then brings the tickets back to them. And this is during college and NFL season.
He doesn't stick it someplace to bring it down there, does he? Like he doesn't keister it, put it.
Oh no, not that kind of mule. No, not like a drug mule. Nothing goes.
Good.
Nothing.
I would just that would be
this is
too
not,
much.
I think this is Highway 35. I don't think this is the Hershey Highway.
Now the question is, do we bring Kurt along on this to kind of set up the mics, and we could do a podcast from a casino?
That's a fantastic idea, and I'll bet that place would like the publicity too.
Or else they'll ask us to pay for it.
What do you bet? They'll be very impressed when I tell them that more than 30 people watch this podcast on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we could probably get them their email addresses.
Oh my gosh, that is a fantastic idea. You should pursue a career in marketing and promotions.
Thank you.
So I will recommend The Diplomat, and then I also came across I've been waiting for this thing for a couple of years, and it finally was released in the past couple of weeks in a variety of platforms. It's a documentary called Going for Truth. It's about the motion picture director Alan Pakula, whose body of work I would put next to any American director. He directed Kill a Mockingbird, Sophie's Choice, All the President's Men. Just an amazing body of work. He's no longer with us, and a number of real bold-faced names have memories of him, very emotional memories that they share. Harrison Ford is one, Meryl Streep is another. So I would recommend Going for Truth, the life story of Alan Pakula. I believe I found it on Prime.
Okay.
Now, do you have an Apple Plus membership?
I do.
Did you find that to be kind of complicated to maintain, like passwords and stuff, and getting into it and ordering a show?
Once you've set the email and password and save it, typically you can just click on the icon on your smart TV.
What are you watching on Apple Plus?
Well, always Ted Lasso, of course. I thought that's one of the final episodes this week, in this week of final episodes, the finale of the series, which I know you don't watch because everybody else watches it. But
well, everybody but me. That's one of my nevers.
Yes.
Along with Never Have I Ever.
Right.
And all the popular shows, I just don't watch them.
And that is true. I mean, I don't think you're missing, if you're not into that show, there's probably a few others on there, but you're probably okay to skip Apple TV. I think you're fine with that.
But they've got a couple of shows that I'm interested in. Okay. I used to watch the Emily Dickinson show.
Marcella watched that.
Yes. And then they've got a show set in Ireland now called Bad Sisters that Bono's daughter, Eve Hewson, is in.
Oh, okay.
And then there's this shrinking thing.
Oh, yes.
Psychologists, Harrison Ford and
Jason Segel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. So, it's very Ted Lasso like, but I feel like you probably won't like that.
Really?
Yeah.
As the shows that sound attractive begin to accumulate, then at some point I will pounce and pay the whatever. How much does Apple Plus cost?
Yeah, what is it? Probably $8 to $10 a month.
Yeah.
And Harrison just grunts through the whole thing. It's kind of like everything he does. I still can't believe he's going to be in a new Indiana Jones movie when he was deemed too old for the last Indiana Jones movie. It's like, how does this man move around?
I can't believe he still has a pilot's license, because every time he goes up in a plane out of the Santa Monica airport, he winds up crashing it. I'm just amazed that the man is still alive.
Is he still with Callista?
He is. As a matter of fact, they appeared together at Cannes, at the recent Cannes Film Festival,
Okay, interesting.
where his Indiana Jones sequel to a sequel to a sequel was unveiled for the first time.
Well, HBO recently changed to Max. What did you think about that? So, did you have any complications with that?
Yeah, and I don't understand why. Why did they need to do that?
I have no idea. The only thing I can think of is if it's like when a company changes names because it's not making any money, so then
Right.
they avoid taxes. I don't
Is
know.
there still a Cinemax? Because I get confused with my Maxes.
That's the thing. I think HBO purchased Cinemax, so it was part. It was that's the reason it was called HBO Max for the longest time, and I think now they just went with Max, which I think it doesn't really make sense unless they're just going with the idea that Max is maximum. Who knows? It doesn't make sense to me.
Max has been a fixture throughout my life. Max Factor
Oh yeah.
was the big cosmetic. Max Patkin was the baseball clown.
Mhm.
Maxi pads.
Yes.
I had no idea at a very young age what the hell those were used for.
Weren't there maximum size condoms?
Yes, those were called what the hell were they called? Magnums. They were called
Yeah, that's it.
Magnums.
That's it.
Yeah, and TJ Maxx. Max has been with us forever.
Well, the show I'm watching on that one, we just wrapped up. It's called Love and Death. Do you know the Candy Montgomery story from your neck of the woods down in Texas, the Bible Belt?
Right. True crime is very popular genre.
They do an interesting take on it. So,
and who portrays Candy?
Elizabeth Olsen, the third of the Olsen sisters.
And does that mean that she is the daughter of one of the stars of like a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen? Is she the daughter of one of them?
No, she is that. She's old enough now to play that character. I mean, she's 30 something.
But is she from a different Olsen family?
No, she's I guess their older sister or something like that. The Olsen twins' sister, Elizabeth Olsen. Yes.
What seems like Mary-Kate and Ashley
should be older.
Should be in their 40s or 50s.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe this woman, maybe
I mean,
Elizabeth
Bob
Olsen
Saget is dead.
Yeah.
That's how old they should be.
Bob Saget is dead. And the other thing about HBO Max, I was recently trying to watch John Oliver and realizing, why isn't he on? Oh, that's right. The writer's strike. When is this writer's strike going to end, Bob?
Well, what complicates matters is that actors go into negotiations on July 1, and the projected date for their strike is July 7. Okay. So as of July 7, you could have writers and actors on strike, pretty much putting an end to the entertainment industry for the rest of the year.
Wow. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, who else is there? There's no one to write. There's no one to act.
Well,
cameras are pretty useless.
At that reality point. TV, my friend, that's what they did last time.
Oh, the unscripted thing.
Yeah.
So that could save the networks is the unscripted thing?
There's your question of the day. Have you ever watched, I guess I know the answer to this. Have you watched ever any reality TV show?
I need to be able to admire what a writer has put in the mouths of great actors. I just can't see sitting in front of a TV and admiring the cast of Jersey Shore. Was it called Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore,
something.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
those thugs and loose women and whatnot from real life. I get enough of that in real life. I'm really surprised that there isn't an unscripted a reality show starring homeless people.
Oh yes, it's called the Bob and Kel Show.
Making them stars and getting them out from their deprived situation. There are here's a I'll tell you a great idea for an unscripted show. I don't think I'm talking out of school here. I doubt seriously word of this will get back to the family who's given me this idea.
All right. Well, I'll tell you if it's been done before.
Hold on just a second. I just lost you. I don't know what happened there. I've lost everything. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I
Yep.
can see you.
Okay.
I'm good.
Huh?
I'm good.
We can hear and see you.
Okay. I can't. I just see the word Zoom. My my hand hit something there. There we go. Okay. So here's the deal. The daughter marries well, really well, and they have a child. The in-laws, meaning the daughter's parents, are, I don't know, by choice or necessity, I don't know, unemployed. The dad likes to play tennis. The mom likes to, you know, do what middle-aged moms do, or late middle age. Anyway, they're dependent on the son-in-law for the necessities of life.
Their
His
livelihood.
business, his business takes him to Zurich, places like that. And he brings the in-laws with him because they are the built-in childcare. The child barely knows her parents because they're off, making names for themselves in software or whatever the family business is. And don't you think that's kind of a novel twist on the American family where the son-in-law is the head of household, is the breadwinner, and everybody's dependent on the son-in-law
Oh,
and his assistant, his wife, their daughter, the child's mother. What do you think of that?
wow. I need a map.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I know all
it's something.
just
Can we play
by
it on Max?
uh, boy, I don't know who handles all the reality programming now. Is it one of the regular broadcast networks like the folks who would carry Survivor and the other ones?
Yeah, CBS. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get them on the line. It's a golden idea, Bob.
please do have your people call my people, and we'll wrap up for this time and hopefully have a guest next time. Um, maybe I can call down to that sports book in Iowa and have that guy on as a guest, and he can tell us what goes on in that sports book and hotel, because that's just, I don't know, just people tell me, oh, it's on this dinky little dive, dinky little dives. That's where the real people hang out, not these jerks in Las Vegas who do all this howling in the sports book, which is the first sign that they have no money on the game. They're just there, to act like big shots. So I would enjoy going there. I usually there's a fall trip to Minnesota before the snow flies, but I have a feeling that I would be unwelcome this fall
Okay.
because the second grandchild arrives in August. So chances are I won't get to
Oh,
Minnesota until early to mid next year. But then we'll go to Iowa.
okay. Well, we'll
On this note of technical difficulties
keep a
at
seat
Kel's
warm
house,
for you.
apparently Kel has forgotten the keys to his computer
Well,
because he's been
I'm
frozen for
guessing you guys are having trouble.
most of the past 5 minutes. We will take our leave of you now and greet you next week. So long for now. Thanks for being with us.